What's up, basketball fans? Welcome to the Verge Report. It's time to talk about the Toronto Raptors. There has not been this much news coming out about one single team. And as far as I can remember, I'm going to be addressing all of those rumors in today's video. So if you're ready to watch, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. And if you wish to hit the subscribe button as well, that would be very much appreciated. So with that being said, let's get into today's video. Now, as you guys know, I do like to give out shout outs on my channel. And the shout out for today's video goes out to Jet Hoops. So Jet Hoops, thank you so much for supporting this channel. Through your likes and comments, it is very much appreciated. Now let's talk about some of the rumors that were out today, and it was being addressed that from Adrian Wojnarowski, straight out of his mouth, he was saying that if you're the Pacers who've been engaged with Toronto regarding Siakam, you don't have to necessarily go out and give the really good young players that Masai Ujiri would love to get. And he also mentioned Jarris Walker and Benedict Mathurin as some of those players. Now, I don't think Adrian Wojnarowski realizes by saying something like this, I don't think he realizes who Masai and Bobby Webster are. These are two guys who don't necessarily just throw away their own players and make deals for the sake of making deals. Now, if there was another general manager, or if the Raptors, for whatever reason, had new managers and executives come into place, you could make the argument that may just trade Pascal Siakam for a couple of second-round picks, salary filler. But we're not talking about this. We're talking about some of the most stubborn executive and general manager around the NBA, and rightfully so. Pascal Siakam is a skilled player, and this is, let's be very realistic and truthful about this. This is probably the biggest return they'll get outside of maybe OG Anunoby, and they're not trading away players like Pascal Siakam every single day, to essentially retool. So the fact that this might be the biggest trade that the Raptors may make in some time, and also that the trade like this could help shape their future, will be huge. So I don't necessarily think the Raptors will be settling without someone like a Jarris Walker or Benedict Mathurin, but we also have some other news related to the Pacers, which we have to talk about as well. Now, this was being reported by Jake Fisher, talking about the Pacers and the Raptors once yet again, and he was saying there's definitely been some chatter around Benedict Mathurin around the league. It doesn't sound like they're willing to put him on the table. Even for OG Anunoby, he suggested, and obviously OG was a player that wasn't necessarily refusing to re-sign with whichever team he was going to. And we know the Pacers absolutely loved OG. So if they're not willing to trade Benedict Mathurin for someone like an OG Anunoby, I definitely don't see them trading, someone like a Benedict for a Pascal Siakam. And there's so much uncertainty also around Pascal Siakam as well. Given that he's told multiple teams at this point that he is not willing to re-sign with them. He's also said, he only wants to re-sign with the Toronto Raptors as well. And the fact that he is one of the best 3-and-D players in the NBA, and he would have fit Tyrese Halliburton's timeline so well, So, I mean, this tells you how much the Pacers value someone like a Benedict Mathurin. And the next news we did have coming out was also about the Raptors and the Pacers. And this was being reported by Evan Massey, who said the Pacers and the Raptors have been in serious discussions regarding a Pascal Siakam trade over the last few days. For source, I'm told Benedict Mathurin is not included in these discussions. So again, this is coming out of from several different sources talking about how the Pacers absolutely will not include someone like a Benedict Mathurin. Now, of course, the trade deadline is still about 3 weeks away, and most teams aren't going to be throwing their best offers out there. You do not panic and throw your best offers out there. As you get closer, and also from a Raptors point of view, you don't make deals without teams being desperate to acquire someone, because that's your last chance to pretty much acquire him or to lose him, because he's not going to come in there in free agency very likely. So again, taking a look at the Pacers salary cap situation here, obviously we do have to discuss, as Adrian said, as a lot of sources have said, they're not willing to trade Benedict. But then you do have to look at some of the other guys. Again, assuming they don't want to trade Jarris Walker, which I think they will ultimately. I don't think they will hold out of him not being included in Pascal Siakam trade talks. But just when you look at the team overall makeup, right? Like Jarris Walker, by the time he's ready to really contribute to the team, it might be season 2 or 3. And by then, Tyrese is looking at age 26, 25, 26 years old. And then maybe he becomes frustrated with the Pacers not making the playoffs run. He's constantly talked about how he wants to win and he's tired of losing. So again, I think the Pacers should do everything in their power to pair up someone like a Pascal who would complement everything the Pacers need at the moment. They play transition basketball. Pascal would be perfect for that. They need defense. Pascal would be perfect for that. They also need size at the power forward position. Pascal would be perfect for that. But in terms of some of the other players you could talk about, Jalen Smith, Isaiah Jackson, Ben Shepherd, Andrew Nemhard, again, those are decent players. They aren't going to move me in a trade. If they're not including Jarris Walker or Benedict Mathurin personally, I don't think the Raptors have any interest in doing this deal. And of course, Buddy Hield for salary purposes, he's still a good get as well. But I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. Obviously the Pacers seem like they really want Pascal Siakam, and understandably so, because they do have the money they can throw at him and re-sign him as well. So I think the Pacers will be a very interesting team to keep your eye on as we keep, hearing more and more Pascal Siakam trade rumors and as we approach the trade deadline. But let's talk about some of the other news coming out about Pascal Siakam as well. Now, Adrian Wojnarowski actually listed a bunch of things related to Pascal Siakam. We went on to straight that the Pascal Siakam trade update included Pascal Siakam will have a lot of say where he goes due to his expiring contract. Raptors and Siakam are nowhere close on an extension. Woj mentions the Pacers are a legitimate threat to sign Siakam to a max contract this offseason. Toronto wants Benedict Mathurin or Jarris Walker in a trade with Indiana, but they're holding firm on neither one being included because of their upcoming cap space flexibility. And also mentioned the Warriors are interested in Siakam, but it is a difficult pathway to make it happen due to the long-term payroll ramifications. Now, I do want to go on the Pacers salary cap here one more time here. I don't necessarily think the money that Pascal Siakam is looking for, I believe the Pacers won't be able to throw his way because, you look at all of the money they have tied down going into next season. They have $128 million, $128.7 million. And that's not enough to sign Pascal Siakam. If I'm correct on based on how much the salary cap will be, I believe it's 140 somewhat millions this season. It'll go up by maybe 3 million next season. That does not give them 40 or 50 million dollars to spend there unless they make moves on some of the other guys. So I don't necessarily see the Pacers as a threat to necessarily sign Pascal Siakam. They do not have enough money to throw at him. But also when we talk about another team and they're like the Warriors, I think the Warriors are very interesting. They do have to I do have to remind people they do have to re-sign Klay Thompson or lose him for nothing in free agency. And then if Pascal does get traded there, they have to re-sign him as well. So those are two guys that are probably, again, Klay is probably demanding 35 to 40, Pascal probably 40, 45, $50 million. So you view it from a Warriors point of view, and all of a sudden it becomes very challenging, even with the potential salaries that they can throw towards Toronto and Chris Paul or Andrew Wiggins, one of them, assuming that Raptors and Warriors do come to an agreement in a trade there. But I can definitely see the Warriors being interested. I can also see why they want to make the trade because of salary reasons as well. But let's talk about some other news related to the Raptors. Now, there's two news that came out about the Raptors, and Basketball on X was reporting that Lakers Raptors will begin progressing to more serious discourse with the Atlanta Hawks pertaining to star DeJounte Murray. Now, most people are looking at this and asking themselves, why would the Raptors want someone like a DeJounte Murray? You already have Emmanuel Quickly there. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Also, DeJounte is also 27 years old, so he's not necessarily as young as Quickly and Scotty Barnes and some of the other younger guys that you want to surround him by. Now, DeJounte Murray is a good player, don't get me wrong, but I think the likelihood that this rumor came up was probably a three-team deal, and also just seems like the Raptors are just being thrown out there left and right, right? Obviously, a lot of teams, I'm sure, are interested in DeJounte Murray, but don't be surprised if the Atlanta Hawks do use the Raptors as leverage, similar to how OKC used the Clippers and the Toronto Raptors as leverage to kind of get the Clippers to pay up a little bit more when, the Paul George trade went down as well. So again, if it does happen, I could see a three-team deal. I do want to address the next rumor very quickly here. And it will make a lot of sense when you see, that the Raptors are interested. Toronto has interest in DeAndre Hunter. I could see why the Raptors would be interested, right? Like, so when we talk about DeJounte Murray, I don't necessarily think the Raptors are interested in him. I actually believe it's more of a three-team deal. Currently, DeJounte Murray is making approximately around $18 million. That is not including his next season where the salary goes a little bit higher. But another player on the Raptors that is making approximately close to that money is Gary Trent Jr. So I think in a three-team deal where Gary Trent goes to the Atlanta Hawks, DeJounte goes to the Lakers, DeJounte Murray goes to the Lakers and DeAndre Hunter goes to the Raptors. And obviously the Lakers would send some players and picks to the Hawks way as well. I think that team, at least money-wise, that seems to work out pretty good. Obviously, the Raptors need a little bit more size. They lost OG. They also lost Precious as well. And DeAndre Hunter, 6'8" guy. He's 26 years old. He's a good role player. shooting about 40% from the three. He's someone that'll give you 14, 16 points a game. And you know what? He's a good free throw shooter, which the Raptors are really, really bad at. So I wouldn't say exceptionally bad at, but he's shooting somewhere, I believe, in the late 80s, 90%. So again, that would be excellent ad for the Raptors. And it gives you, again, it gives you kind of similarity to what Gary Trent already provides in three-point shooting, but he's also a much better defender than Gary and also provides you a lot more size as well. So it could be interesting there. I do want to highlight a few more things before we end the video off here. And this was being reported by Jake Fisher, suggesting that the Mavericks and Raptors have had trade talks over Pascal Siakam. I know there are absolutely people in Dallas who think Pascal is a missing piece that could potentially pair with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, and all of a sudden you look up and the Mavericks are off. Excuse me, this is worded really poorly. Sorry, guys. The Mavericks off are a legitimate contender in the West. Now, I do believe that Pascal Siakam, if there's one team out there besides maybe the Warriors, I think he fits in seamlessly on that team. The Dallas Mavericks, obviously don't have enough assets. They're not going to trade Derek Lively to the Raptors for Pascal. They do have Jaden Hardy. Josh Green is, two names I keep coming back to. So those are some of the younger players. Oliver Omax, as they like to call him in Dallas, he could be a very interesting prospect as well. Although I'm not as high on him as many people maybe. But I also believe the Toronto Raptors, like if they do, find something that Dallas will be offering and they do like it, I think this would be a perfect pairing for Dallas's point of view. You get someone that can be coming in, sliding at the power forward position. Also, he's a great paint scorer. So you got Luka and Kyrie there, great three-point shooter. They can facilitate. And I just think with having three guys on the team in Pascal, Kyrie, Luka, who can all pass the ball, who can score very efficiently, that makes that team very, very dangerous. They also need some defense as well. So Pascal comes in there, provides more rebounding, provides more defense, provides more scoring. And all of a sudden, the Dallas Mavericks, I don't know where they stand in the current standings. I think they're a legitimate contender. Like I don't see a lot of teams beating that team in the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see what that happens. But this next rumor just really, really threw me off here. Now, this was stating by Chris B. Haynes, the Philadelphia 76ers are a prime team to monitor in the Pascal Siakam sweepstakes. Now, they do have some money in free agency, but they do not. I repeat, guys, I don't care how many first round picks they have. They're not getting Pascal Siakam for those first round picks or anything unless they're offering Tyrese Maxey, which they won't, guys, which they won't offer. Doesn't make sense for them. So it would be an interesting pairing, with Joel Embiid there, Pascal Siakam, and Tyrese Maxey. But again, they do not simply have enough assets. They don't have a prospect that the Raptors would absolutely be dying to acquire, on the 76ers. So I don't see a deal happening there. Again, it's some people suggested Tobias Harris. He's a good, player in terms of scoring and rebounding. He's pretty efficient. He's given you that consistently over his career. But I just don't see the Raptors doing a deal there. Again, it just makes no sense from the Raptors' point of view. And finally, our last rumor here. We're finally at the end of the video, guys. And it was being reported by, I believe this was a Western Conference executive on potential landing spots for Pascal Siakam. It could very well be a team that no one knows, like the Bulls. I don't know about that, guys. I don't know if it's going to be the Bulls. It makes no sense. The Raptors aren't acquiring Zach LaVine for Pascal Siakam. I mean, Zach is making, 45 million? That's how much Pascal is probably asking for his new deal. So you're not going to pay Pascal Siakam that much money, but then you'll acquire someone that's already being paid that much money. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't see the Bulls. I'm going to throw a random team out there. I was just going through random list of teams. One team I could see, although it'd be complicated to make salaries work, maybe the Houston Rockets could acquire Pascal Siakam. Again, they would have to throw in something that really intrigued the Toronto Raptors besides Jalen Green as well, and obviously not Alperen Sengun, but could be interesting. His former teammate Fred VanVleet is there as well. So, and I lied, guys. I lied. Sorry. This is the last piece of rumor we are going to cover, and this was being reported by Chris B. Haynes that the Raptors and Pascal Siakam are on the verge of parting ways. Now, I know a lot of Raptors fans are shitting on Chris B. Haynes, saying that, this guy's also the guy who's reporting the Raptors and Gary Trent Jr., coming to an extension, this summer. But I do want to suggest one thing. When we talked about Jake L. Fisher, a lot of Raptors fans were saying similar things about him. And there's a report he came out with, right before we hit 12 o'clock at night, before the trade deadline day official. He was reporting that the Raptors are going to acquire Jakob Poeltl by tonight, and about 2-3 hours later, it did happen. I remember a lot of Raptors fans saying that he keeps reporting a lot of stuff, nothing really happens, but I believe it. So Chris B. Haynes, I know a lot of people are saying that he doesn't necessarily always is the most accurate with his reports, but I could see this being the case. Especially based on some of the other reports that came out pretty much suggesting that the Raptors and Pascal are far on negotiations as well. So I could definitely see this being the case, you know. So the Raptors, I think, may just trade Pascal. Of course, it depends on the type of offer they get as well, but we'll see what happens, you know. I'm sure by the time this video is out and by the time the next morning hits, I mean, it's about 2 a.m. as I'm recording this right now. So I'm sure there'll be more Pascal Siakam rumors, you know, by then. So I'm very curious to hear what your thoughts are on all of the news here. Who intrigues you the most? Which out of these teams is the most realistic and unrealistic? Let me know down in the comment section below. And there's no trivia question for you today. So I thought I would let you guys, for those of you who aren't always able to watch the videos right away, if you do want a shout out, just comment down below. I'll give you guys a shout out for the next video. So that will be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching this video. And I hope you guys have yourselves a great day.